Before entering into that analysis, seems reasonable to have some context about which has been the situation in 2010. European airports had a reasonably positive year in 2010, generating a 4.2% increase in passenger throughput, despite bouts of extreme weather, labor unrest, passenger taxation in some markets, and lingering economic problems in many parts of the continent. Flight traffic recovered by 18.7% last year, off depressed levels in 2009, while aircraft movements were flat, dropping 0.2%. Passenger traffic in 2010 was still 1.2% below 2008, though flight traffic is now 2.2% over 2008 levels, thanks to last year's bounce back. There was no reversal of network contraction, as airlines have yet to fully restore frequencies and destination count during the crisis. Russian and Turkish airports were among the fastest growing. Growth was led last year by Italian Moscow to Modidiebo, with close to 20% increases, while several airports in the mature markets of Italy also did well, namely Milan Malpensa and Rome Fiumicino. Rome Fiumicino reported an encouraging 7.5% increase in passenger numbers to 36.3 million last year. One of the drivers was resurgent Alitalia. Catania reported a 6.5% increase to 6.3 million, while Torino plus 10.3 to 3.6 million, Bari plus 20 to 3% to 2.4 million, and Milan Bergamo plus 7.2% to 7.7 million, showed healthy gains. On the other hand, volumes contracted at Rome, Ciampino, Verona and Palermo airports. The smaller Italian airports also performed well, with Brindisi plus 47.2% to 1.6 million, Rimini plus 44% to almost more than half of a million passengers, Treviso plus 21% to 2.2 million, and Lamezia Terme plus 16.4% to 1.9 million, all performing strongly. Volumes contracted at Alghero, Olbia, Brescia, Parma, Perugia, according to the information provided by ASA reporting. London area airports suffer, while there was a slow growth at the Paris Charles de Gaulle, Frankfurt, Madrid and Amsterdam hubs. Barcelona, Copenhagen, Vienna and Stockholm reported moderate growth amongst the airports handling over 10 million passengers. Now, it's time to address three main questions regarding the Spanish ADC. Is the privatization imperative? How the privatization would take place? And who could be the stars of the privatization? First question, is the privatization an imperative? Clearly, yes. AENA has been struggling for years to combat the high air traffic control provision costs in Spain, which are well above the European average and the highest of any major air travel market in the EU. In 2009, the country poured 450 million euros into a program to update its ATC system and engaged in a first cost-cutting campaign following the traffic slump in the Spanish aviation in 2008 and 2009. However, high controlled wages and fixed investment costs have hobbled attempts to reduce costs over the system. In 2008, AENA's total ATM costs were 1.3 billion euros, while its gate-to-gate costs were 1.2 billion, the highest of any ANSP in the European Union. The Spanish ANSP's operation accounted for 16% of Europe's total air traffic control costs, despite it handling only 10.5% of total European composite flight hours. AENA's traffic control costs in 2008 were the highest in Europe at 688.3 million euros, mostly thanks to overtime and agent-controlled workforce and high pension cost. It was more than double that of the French ANSP DSNA, which employed almost 700 more air traffic controllers. AENA has moved to bring controller wages more in line with all the ATCs, but it's facing the position from USCA, the Spanish Air Traffic Controllers Union. A collective agreement negotiated between AENA and USCA in 2010 called for the reduction of controller salaries to €480 per year for 2,300 controllers. At the same time, it maintained a guaranteed average annual salary of $200,000 until 2013 for operational air traffic controllers. USCA members opposed the plan, with 92.5% of voting members opposing the ratification of the new agreement, citing intolerable differences. Despite the ongoing problems with costs, a combination of improving traffic and reform efforts for AENA has been successful in driving the company back towards break-even operations. In late 2010, AENA cut its break-even forecast from 2014 to 2012. Nevertheless, the Spanish airport privatization plan is a contentious one, particularly for AENA's heavily unionized controllers. While counter-strike the controllers of a working condition, the privatization plan plagued air traffic control operations in the country over 2010, costing airlines an estimated €100 million. Negotiations between AENA and UCA are ongoing, albeit against a background of low-level industrial unrest and continued ATCO agitation. Fortunately, though it seems that two parties have been unable to reach a firm agreement on a new collective agreement for ATCOs, although AENA is confident that most basic issues have been resolved, but only minor issues like working hours and salary allocation remains to be finalized. The fact is that finally the former minister Pimentel, who was appointed as an arbiter to solve these litigation, has issued an award which has ended with these disputes. So it's not expected to have further industrial action in the future. The second question: how the privatization is going to take place? Spain plans to deregulate its airports and air traffic control are part of a steady trend toward ATC privatization in Europe. It's not a coincidence that NATS and LFB are bidding for the Spanish contract, as both ANSP's home markets have already been partially privatized. In December 2010, the Spanish authorities announced plans to partially privatize the national airports company, AENA. The sale of 49% of the company is expected to raise at least €9 billion, funds that are needed to help Spain through the lingering sovereign debt crisis. AENA manages 47 airports, including airports in Madrid and Barcelona, and had partnership holding in 16 Latin American airports and London Luton. In the interim, management of Spain's two largest airports, Madrid, Barajas, and Barcelona El Prat, will be put out to tender to private operators on the 40 years license. Under the airport privatization plan, AENA's airport and air traffic control units will be separated. Spain plans to privatize 39 airports and air traffic control at all 47. The airport privatization tenders will be offered under 3 individual packages, which can be granted to different suppliers. Under the initial phase of the plan, the Spanish government has decided on a limited tender for a traffic control service at 13 airports, including the major holiday destinations of Alicante, Lanzarote, and Fuerteventura. Between them, these airports handle nearly 19% of Spanish passenger traffic and 25% of its aircraft movements. The tender process will take approximately 6 to 7 months, while preparing the new controllers for Spain's ATM will take another 3. The bid process will be finalized by the end of August 2011, after which AENA intends to announce which consortium will receive the contract around the 13 towers. Spain will open up control tower operation at other airports from 2012. The third question: who will be the stars of the privatization? Spain's move to privatize its traffic control system ahead of the partial privatization of its airport is attracting the interest of some of Europe's leading navigation service providers. NATS, a UK-based NSSP, and LFB, Sweden's state enterprise and navigation services provider, have both announced alliances with large Spanish infrastructure companies to bid for traffic control services in Spain. DFS, the German NSP, has also expressed interest in the bid process. Thus, partially privatized already, UK-based NATS is eager to expand its operation into more markets. The company has signed an agreement with Ferrovial through Ferrovial Services to bid for the air traffic control services in Spain. NATS has extensive experience with transatlantic operations. On the other hand, Spanish Fomento de Construcciones y Contratas, FCC, announced that it has formed an alliance with LFB to bid for Spanish air traffic control contracts. FCC has established subsidiary NAPSA Navegación y Servicios Aeroportuarios Sociedad Anónima to engage in air traffic control and aviation services. FCC will establish a joint venture with LFB, in which NAPSA will own 65% of and LFB 35%. NAPSA has been established explicitly to target the opportunities for the ATC privatization process. FCC is involved in the aviation industry through its subsidiary FlightCare, which operates ground handling at 14 airports in the three European countries. LFB and FlightCare and NAPSA have signed an alliance agreement to jointly draft a bid for traffic control services at 3 airports under tender. Clearly, there will be a lot of competition in the process, which is always good. Let's see how it evolves.